Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Thursday Nighter.
Hello. It's that time of the week again, isn't it?
It is that time of the week. We haven't got anyone in Cockney Corner this week.
No, it feels a bit quiet, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Kanye's gone off partying in LA. In reality, Elliot's gone to Kent, I think.
It's gone to Kentish, hasn't it?
Yeah, as he's not in Cockney Corner, I thought every now and again I might just periodically throw any odd Cockney accent just to
just in homage.
Pay homage to our man Elliot. Yeah.
Does that mean everyone that we get in as a guest over there needs to speak in a Cockney accent?
No, I think we're going to call it Cockney Corner, but you haven't got to be a Cockney. I think that's a bit.
It's a nice tribute to the lad, though. He's done well the last couple of weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's come on leaps and bounds from his promotion from the youth team. Yeah, he's done really well.
He was a stuttering lad, and now he's got the heart of a lion, hasn't he?
He has got the heart of a lion.
Big
he
and
works
bold,
very hard. Yes.
Good lad, El. That's a quick tribute to you, mate. I hope you listen to this now.
You better add.
Yeah, sod. Right, football this week then. Do you want to kick us off? What we got?
Well, just scrolling through Twitter and stuff and keeping an eye on everything that is the beautiful game. I saw Mascherano was in court.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah.
Tax avoidance or whatever. It seems to be a reoccurring theme at Barcelona. They've had issues with Messi in the past. They've also had issues with Neymar over his transfer and stuff like that. So when it comes to finance, I don't know what's going on.
So what is going on? What is it they're doing? Not paying their taxes outright, or?
Well, presumably, I don't know the ins and outs of the case. You know, for a legal standard or anything. Or I don't want to say anything.
Might drop us in it.
Yeah, drop us in it. Yeah, but
we have been paying attention in law, Claire and Rachel.
Just, somewhere along the line, he's obviously not been paying his tax.
Why? Why wouldn't they pay their taxes?
I don't think it's to do with them personally. Is it? I think they've all got accountants and they've all got finance people, and I think they basically
goes through them first.
And I think it's trying to rinse the system for what it's worth. I suppose.
I suppose when you make all that money, it's a bit cheeky though, isn't it? Really?
Oh, it is. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not. You've got to pay tax.
Yeah, of course you do.
It's simple as that, isn't it? But,
it's proper cheeky, isn't it? But
it is what it is. I suppose, when you are making all that money, if you can get told you can make a load more, then probably have a little go at it.
Yeah.
But, like I said, he might not have known much about it. It might have been the people who would look after his finances have sort of been diddling the books or whatever. And
well, it makes you wonder. So what's going to happen now then?
Well, there's talk of he could possibly, which is very unlikely to happen, I imagine, get a year in jail. Can you imagine that? A Barcelona star with a year in jail.
That'd be a story, wouldn't it?
That would be a story. It would be huge. But I don't think that's likely to happen. What is more likely to happen is a hefty, chunky fine.
Yeah. But that's more of a sort of bribe. I'm sure some of that
will
go into a back pocket, won't it, somewhere?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It just seems to be that way, isn't it? Oh, well,
unfortunately, very rich, Yeah. Just a coincidence, though.
You haven't paid any tax, so if you just give us a massive lump of money, we'll make this go away. Okay. I just think it's just a strange one. It seems to be like a Barcelona-themed thing going on. But obviously Messi's been in trouble too, so...
Is that something that the managers will sort of get involved in? Will I be a bit annoyed at the players for letting it happen and sort of bad press attention?
Well, I suppose so. Yeah,
they're carrying the name and
the club can't be particularly happy about it. They do represent the club, and being dragged to court is not ideal, is it? No. So.
Well, I've been down to Barcelona and been around the stadium and done all that, and when you're there, you really do get a sort of scale, don't you, of how massive this business is. This
sense of history and stuff.
Absolutely,
and I think they are supporter owned as well, aren't they?
Back in the day they were, and it's sort of filtered down a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a funny one. It's worth keeping an eye on because, like I said, if he does get sent down, that is going to be an absolute corker, isn't it?
Well, can you imagine? Yeah, just like Barcelona star.
It'd be better if it was Messi, though, wouldn't it? Then Ronaldo might have a chance at the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah. I mean,
be licking his lips, wouldn't they?
Locking Messi up does seem like the only way.
That's the only way that he's going to get it.
Someone else might win the Ballon d'Or, but I think Neymar is going to be knocking on the door in the next.
Neymar will be up there, won't he? And all the new sort of talent that's coming through.
Indeed.
Both of those. All right, we'll come away from the sort of legal side. We're not going to pretend we're lawyers or not.
No, certainly not. I think staying with Barcelona, they've had some horrific away kits, haven't they, over the years?
Yeah.
I remember that sort of yellow and orangey merge into one thing, and they're fluorescent yellowy green.
Yellowy orange one. That sort of, I didn't I think they didn't know whether to go for a lime or a satsuma, so they just went for both.
Just chucked it
just
together.
Bred them. It's like trying to breed a hamster and a frog. Just
it just didn't work.
This weird life form sort of thing, but
no, yeah. Well, we did want to have a little chat about kits.
Yeah, because there have been some good ones, but there have been some absolute vile ones. You got to wonder if the kit designers were on drugs when they were making them.
Yeah, certainly. I saw one today on Twitter which I fell in love with straight away, and they always produced lovely kits, and that's Boca Juniors of Argentina.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Their new away strip is. I like their home kits. I think their home kits are always on point, but this away kit was.
Is it that yellow one? Is it?
Yellow.
Yeah, really nice.
It's just yellow is the prominent colour, and I don't know. It just stood out for me. And there are certain kits I think that, for whatever reason, you sort of attach like fond memories to, don't you? As well.
It's funny the sort of power of the marque, like the Borussia Dortmund yellow. Someone says yellow kit, you probably say Dortmund. If someone says red kit, you probably think Man United.
Yeah,
you don't think Accrington Stanley, do you? It's quite.
But
Exactly. Is that the milk advert?
It is the milk advert. Yeah.
No, I remember seeing that when they were. I think they were in the cup a few years ago and got on Channel 3 or ITV or something in there. That little kid.
Yeah, that little.
Accrington Stanley.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a bit before your time, isn't it? So
yeah, just a little bit. But you said Boca Juniors, so it's nice to have a look at some kits that maybe people don't know are quite as sexy as they are. And it's okay to use that word, by the way. UNAM, Mexico. I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't heard of them. But Google the kit, man. It's like jewelled purple with a lion on the front or a tiger or something, and it is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is on point. You showed me that one earlier.
Purple, and then a gold lion for home, and then like grey with like an orange lion for away, and it is just gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's pretty out there, but
it is.
It makes them very marketable, though, doesn't it? It's a sort of identity
that's part of the deal nowadays as well, isn't it? I think whoever takes over the kit wants, to be able to smash it all over social media, all over billboards, and get people's heads turned and
get
stuff.
people to buy it.
The one position I think is obviously always let down when in case of kits is goalkeeper. I always just think they're always made to wear some pretty horrific things.
Who'd be a goalkeeper just because of the bloody kits some of the times?
It's hard work, isn't it? And I've heard over the years that they make them garish because they're supposed to put off an on-rushing striker or all manner of things. But there are certain kits that if I was Manuel Neuer or I was, David De Gea perhaps, and I was at the peak of my game, I'd be saying, no, I don't think so, I'm not wearing that.
Well, some of them actually look like the ingredients that go into a McDonald's burger. They just look. There was that one, wasn't there, David Seaman?
Yeah.
He looked like...
Euro 96 kit, just got... It wasn't very nice, no, it wasn't great.
It was just all over the place.
I hate that kit as well, because it also reminds me of the penalty shootout loss to Germany in the semi-final of that tournament.
How old would you have been? 11 then? 10?
8, 9, 10, something like that.
Yeah. I'd have been 1, so I don't remember it that well. Surprisingly.
I remember blubbing away and...
Really?
Yeah, being told to get over it by my old man and stuff. Years of disappointment since I sort of take his case.
Yeah. Well, you sort of get used to it, don't you, as an England fan? But some other kits that we had a look at that you might not have heard of again. FC Tokyo. We were quite impressed by that one.
I was, yeah.
That was Adidas, nice. Wasn't it?
It was.
Really smart.
That was a really smart
really
kit.
smart.
I really like that.
You don't think football Japan or... but obviously it is there. I did do a piece about that a couple of months ago about some crazy football fans in Japan. So obviously it might be an emerging league sort of thing,
Yeah.
And then who else did Seattle Sounders?
Yeah,
nice kit
that's
there,
a nice kit, isn't it? Yeah.
So they've got Clint Dempsey over there, haven't they?
Yeah.
So sort of their player.
Is Martin still there?
Yeah, he is. Well, he was actually bloody linked with a move to the Villa the other day.
He?
Yeah, I
was
really? Like, God no. But I'd love him to go there and relegate them. As like a secret agent for the Blues.
Secret agent for the Blues.
Who put the ball in the Arsenal net? Who put the ball in? Still chimes around St Andrews from time to time.
I'm sure it does, yeah. I'm sure it's a very popular song.
It's probably the easiest goal of his career.
Yeah, but it was very important, wasn't it? It was very, very important.
Just a little bit. Big day. And then we also had a look at some kits that we didn't like as much. And we looked at FC Portos this year.
Yeah, their away kit is... I don't know what they were thinking there. It's a particularly nice shade of toilet.
If you're having your dinner, put down your knife and fork and close your ears. it looks like when you've had a bit of a dicky tummy. It looks like rusty water.
Yeah, it's not nice as it is. It's a dirty colour. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Let that thought settle in your heads.
It's got no place being on a football kit. Anyway.
No, it hasn't.
No
Distracting though, I should imagine. For the
I suppose maybe that's their thinking. I don't know.
Their mantra.
I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah. Right, we'll leave football kits then, and something else that we picked up on today was Bristol City sacking.
Yeah, Costa's
old
gone.
Cots again.
He's gone.
Wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he, that guy?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
But it's a bit dangerous sometimes.
Well, I think they played a certain. I've been talking to a few Bristol City fans, and they told me that he tried to play a certain type of football.
Yeah.
Very much. I suppose the same sort of argument could be levelled at Gary Monk when he was at Swansea. And he didn't really have a plan B, and there was no alternative. One particular fan told me that there is a need for some steel in midfield.
Okay.
And they haven't really got a ball winner. So,
well, Bristol City are one of those clubs. They've had a new stand built, haven't they?
Yeah.
So they're sort of looking to move up the divisions and probably settle in the Championship a little bit more than that they have done the last few times. And one of the names that you've said that has been linked with it is actually David Moyes.
Yeah, Moyesy. He apparently used to play centre half for them. I didn't realise this until I was again
a quick look earlier.
A quick look on social media told me this. I mean, it'd be a hell of a coup, wouldn't it, for Bristol City to get a manager of that ilk? I mean,
is it a bit of a tumble for him though, going somewhere like that? Is that the sort of? Or does he need to rebuild his reputation?
I think he probably does. I think he's gone. It's probably unfair. What he did at Everton, being there for so long,
and doing so well.
And then when you look at his record versus Louis van Gaal's as well, there isn't a great deal of difference there. In all honesty,
well, that's another thing for another day, isn't it? We could talk for hours about that, couldn't we?
We could indeed.
I'm sure.
But I think he was a little hard done by at United. Obviously, it didn't go all that well at Sociedad either. So
fair play to him for going out there and giving it a try. Though
definitely.
He sort of these things, and obviously Gary Neville, he's sort of finding out how difficult it is. He's having a bit of a hard time as well, isn't he, at the moment?
Exactly. Spain is not an easy place to manage.
but if Moyes did sort of drop down into the Championship, it's a difficult league. It really is.
It's a very difficult league.
And there are some good teams in that league at the moment. And
I always look at it and I just think that 90% of the sides in that league have all played Premier League football in my lifetime.
Apart from your Rotherhams and
So it'll be interesting to see what does go on there. But yeah, the Championship is always a fascinating league. Always.
Well, it's sort of that his management will be tested more than ever because he won't have a budget. Well, if he does, it'll be very restricted.
Yeah, it'll be shoestring,
and that'll be
stuff on it. Yeah.
That'll be a massive onus on the academy and loan players. But maybe he could use his sort of connections that he's got at Everton and United, and maybe sort of set up a few things if there's not too much bad feeling there.
Yeah, well, you've always got
mind them dropping down and having a season at that level.
No, exactly. You've always got connections that you've made, throughout your career and stuff. And I suppose that's true of any profession, isn't it? So he's bound to be able to maybe tempt some of the youngsters maybe into like regular first team football.
Well, look at like Dele Alli. What was it last year? He was at MK Dons, and now he's going on the plane, I should think, to the Euros. It's crazy rise, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a crazy. He'll be there, won't he?
He will be there. He's been good, hasn't he?
Speaking of the Championship and trying to stay out of it, there are obviously a big relegation scrap on, as there is every year.
In the Premier
League, yeah. Sorry. And so Swansea have done something a bit weird and appointed Francesco Guidalin. I don't know whether I'm saying that right. I'm sure Crispin.
Hashtag it butchered.
Yeah, butchered
that name.
I'm sure Crispin, who's our
Swansea correspondent.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be able to tell me how you pronounce the name properly. But I just think it was a really strange appointment. Nothing against the guy. He's obviously got a relatively decent record, especially recently.
Italian football, isn't it?
Yeah, recently at Udinese, I think he's taken them to a 5th, 4th and 3rd place finish in the last few years.
When you've got Di Natale filing for the line, that helps, doesn't it? But it is a strange one, and we've sort of seen it a little bit with Remy Gard this year. A lot was spoken about him and foreign management coming into this relegation scrap and not understanding the amount of games, etc., etc. But the interesting thing about the Guidalin appointment is that he will be working with Alan Curtis, who was the caretaker manager and was told that he was going to remain until the end of the season.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a weird. Have you ever heard of something like that?
Well, I think there was a 10-day gap between the announcements that. They basically said, Alan Curtis, you're the man for the job until the end of the season. We'll see how we go from there.
Draw up the transfers probably as well.
10 days later, they've appointed this new Italian chap, and I just think
who's come in out of nowhere. Really, I didn't know he was linked.
Oh no, he wasn't on my radar definitely.
But they made it very clear in a presser the other day that it will be the Italian fella that will be making the final decisions, not Curtis. So it's not a sort of joint management thing, like the Salford City have got or something like that. So what is his job then? What is that? Is he the assistant manager, or is he the?
I'm not really sure.
Head coach.
I know they called Francesco. I won't try and butcher his name again, but
Frank.
Our Frank. They called Frank head coach, didn't they? So
they did. So where does that leave?
I don't know where that leaves Alan Curtis, but I'm sure it remains to be seen. They had a win, didn't they? They had a win.
They did.
He was sat in the stands watching, so I don't know whether new manager.
Impressing him.
Everybody trying to impress.
Well, it's a good chance for the youngsters to stake their claim, especially after they struggled so badly against Oxford in the Cup. But obviously it's a big debate, but these foreign managers coming into the Premier League and going into these relegation scraps, it's a risk.
Oh,
it's
definitely.
A massive risk,
it's a
isn't
huge
it?
risk. Yeah, of course it is.
None of the Swansea fans will have heard of him.
No knowledge of the league. No knowledge of what sort of type of player and style of play perhaps that you might need to adapt to. Because let's face it, people like Sam Allardyce going to Sunderland, he went there because he's got a reputation of keeping it tight and knocking it long,
and keeping them in the Premier League.
And I think. People might not like it, but it's effective. Tony Pulis has had the same stuff levelled at him as well, hasn't he? But he's a banker, isn't he? If you hire Tony Pulis, the man's never been relegated. So whether you like the style of football or not, but then he's not available, is he?
No.
They are looking further afield for these managers. I don't know why there isn't enough. Well, there probably is enough British talent out there, but why they're being overlooked, I don't know.
Well, this guy I think he's 60, 70. He's not young. He's not a young spark. He's not the next.
Well, he's not going to be there for generations, is he? No. He's obviously a short-term appointment, which is again
not ideal.
No, I think when you're hiring a manager, whether you're being pragmatic or not, I think you need to understand that the ideal situation is that you hire someone and he's still there in 20 years' time. I know the likelihood of that happening is obviously slim,
especially in today's game.
It just doesn't happen anymore. But that should be the model you're looking at. Surely,
well, it's that the manager's got a vision, he's got a dream, he's got a 5-year plan, and blah blah blah.
And then you go from there, don't you? Yeah.
So will his main objective be in keeping Swansea in the league? I think it'd be a bit easier after now that the John Joe Shelby thing's gone away, because that was a massive talking point, I know, down there, and sort of left a bit bad taste, didn't it? It wasn't the easiest departure in the world.
Well, no, I've heard of players in the past. Robbie Savage is very open and honest, isn't he, about how in the past he's
never honest, is he, Robbie Savage?
How he's engineered moves away to various clubs just because he's deliberately misbehaved in the dressing room, or he hasn't put enough effort in on the football pitch because he wants to move. So I think maybe there was an element of that from John Joe Shelby. I didn't like to see it, to be honest with you. I thought it was pretty appalling to watch for a professional to behave that way.
Very childish, isn't it?
It's petulant, and I think in the long run, maybe it doesn't do your reputation any.
Before Curtis came in, he was a big player for Swansea, and he had been for a couple of years.
Well, I think he said, didn't he, in his press conference when he first went to Newcastle, that he was a bit annoyed that just a few weeks back he'd been in the England squad and been playing for England, and then he was getting dropped by Swansea and he couldn't really understand why. But I just think it's your job to impress the manager, isn't it? Get your head down and work hard rather than throw your toys at the pram. I mean, I know that nobody likes to be dropped, and I wouldn't expect anyone.
No, of course. I
wouldn't expect anyone to
be happy with it.
But just surely it should spur you on to work a bit harder and see where you go from there.
Trying to break into that first team. So Swansea, will they stay up? Yes, I think they will. To be honest,
you think they will?
I think there are weaker teams with weaker players in that league.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. But that's not necessarily
look at
the way
Watford
it works.
or Leicester.
I'm unsure. I would like to see. I'd like to give you a better answer on that in a couple of weeks.
Are they going to be close? Are they going to be down there?
I think they'll be down there. Yeah. I think no matter what happens, that they'll be close to being relegated. Yeah.
There you go. Shank said it.
Yeah. You heard
Get
it
down
here
to the
first.
bookies.
You heard it here
Hurry
first.
up. Obviously, there was some football last night as well.
Yeah.
A couple of FA Cup replays. Liverpool quite comfortably running the rule over Exeter, and then obviously Tottenham winning against Leicester. Leicester sound the same. Pretty comfortable stuff for Liverpool.
Yeah.
We watched the game, didn't we?
We watched the Liverpool game, didn't we? And they, poor Exeter, they got battered. Really, I know they did a good job of holding on for as long as they did. But in the end, their resistance was broken down, and
just that quality, wasn't it?
Yeah. Liverpool scored some nice goals, I have to say.
Well,
They should have had a hatful more.
Apart from Benteke, Mignolet, and Jose Enrique at left back, it was a very academy-based squad, and it was nice to see.
I think Joe Allen got a run out as well, didn't he?
But, sorry, and it was nice to see the young lad come back at full back as well. John Flanagan. What do we call him?
Flanny Alves.
Flanny Alves. Doesn't sound great.
No, you're not having that, are you? You're happy with it.
He hasn't got the face. He looks a bit like a thug.
He hasn't got the face. Leave the man alone. He's already taken a load of abuse today on social media for not being the prettiest of chaps. But,
no.
It is what it is.
But it was nice for Exeter to have the day, and obviously the finances as well.
Finances is great.
They were all clapped off at the end.
Those players got a trip to Anfield. Not many professional footballers could say that they went and played at Anfield, can they? So
no, and obviously Benteke starting that game. Does that sort of show how outcast he is at the moment?
I think it probably does. I don't think, publicly they're not saying that, are they?
No.
Klopp's saying, he's a complete striker and stuff. He's like, well, if he's a complete striker, why aren't you playing him?
Well, he's a Rodgers signing, isn't he? At the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think that is the difficulty for Liverpool, and it has been the difficulty for Liverpool for a few years. For a few different managers, is when they come in, they want to stamp their identity on the club, and they can't necessarily get the signings that they want. So they end up with. I don't think Rodgers particularly wanted Benteke.
Well, he was on the Sunday supplement, wasn't he, this week, and he was saying a few things about players that came in and how much influence he actually had, and bits and pieces. Maybe that's licking his wounds a bit, but. Yeah. You have got to wonder, haven't you, how much control the managers actually have over the.
Well, I think it's a very Premier League base, isn't it? I think everywhere else in Europe, I think as a director of football, he pretty much is in charge of selecting who gets bought and who gets sold. We don't really do that in the Premier League. And
no.
It's been trialled, and it's worked for a short term, and it's failed generally at most clubs. I mean, some people are obviously able to pull it off. But I suppose everywhere you go nowadays, there is some level of I don't want to say interference, it's probably not the right word, but there's some level of somebody from the top
sticking
saying,
their oar in and saying,
I think we need this player. I think you hear about the pressure from sponsors as well, don't you? Because they chuck in so much money for kits and stuff nowadays. I think
it makes you wonder, doesn't it? You know how far. I know. Down at B6, Aston Villa, there's a lot of comments down there as to how much control the manager actually has with the signings and how much comes in from abroad. And obviously Tottenham 2-0 against Leicester.
Yes.
That Leicester's train coming to a bit of a halt
They played a
second string.
Yeah, a second string. As did Spurs, it must be said. Spurs' second string were decent from what I saw of it. Son, who... I was having a talk with Tom Edwards, who writes for The Telegraph. And he's a Spurs fan. I say having a chat. I was talking to him on Twitter, basically. I was having a Twitter chat with him.
Oh, sound.
About their lack of goals outside of Harry Kane, and I suggested that Son was the answer, and he didn't seem to think that he was.
Really?
Yeah, he apparently doesn't score enough goals.
Is he an out-and-out striker, or is he a number 9? Or is he a winger?
I'm not sure. I've no idea. Literally no idea.
You were saying about the pressure on the sponsors. If I'm not wrong, apart from Ki Sung-young and Yuk Sung-young, who plays for QPR, he's one of the only top South Korean players in Europe, and the marketing value for him is huge.
Yeah,
I think I read something, might even have been a couple of years ago. I think it was in 442, and they they were talking about the Korean journalist that just covers Okazaki, Japan, at Thingy, and Sun and Ki Sung Young as well. So that might be one of those sort of, you never know, marketing. Because if anyone's going to be on a billboard in South Korea, it's going to be him.
Yeah, yeah,
kit on and that. So
I thought every time I've seen him this season,
he's looked good.
He's looked good, but Tom doesn't necessarily agree.
What is that? Just not enough goals?
Yeah, just not enough goals. I don't think he's got anything against him, as a footballer. I just think the biggest issue is that he doesn't score enough goals. So
it's always sort of been like they were sort of very reliant on Gareth Bale at the time, weren't they? Now it's sort of gone on to Harry Kane's shoulder.
I think isn't that the same for most football clubs?
Yeah.
Everton are very reliant on Romelu Lukaku. Leicester have been very reliant on Jamie Vardy and Riyad Mahrez. I mean, just think most football clubs there are players that you are
star man, haven't you?
Yeah, that you're reliant on, and I think that's just the way football is.
Well, when Clayton Donaldson hit the sack at the Blues for them 6 weeks, where he struggled for goals and stuff, so it does show, especially at that level, for God's sake, So just to finish this week, we've got Coquelin coming back for Arsenal this week, and obviously their new signing, Mohamed El Neni, has just been bought in from Basel. And did you say Coquelin's a month, weeks ahead?
Apparently he's up to a month earlier than expected to be back.
Right.
I think that's huge for Arsenal because I think they don't necessarily struggle, but I think he's their only out and out before this signing. He was their only out and out defensive midfielder.
Flamini's not good enough anymore. Frimpong wasn't good enough, was he?
The thing is with Flamini is I think he's good enough, but I think given his age, he's probably only good enough for 60 minutes once a week.
You don't get the legs, do you?
Rather than Coquelin's everywhere, isn't he?
He's come through, hasn't he? He's done well, hasn't he?
Well, his story is pretty remarkable. He was on loan, wasn't he, at Championship Club? Was it Charlton? Was it? Yeah. And he wasn't doing. He was doing well for them, but
ticking along,
but he didn't expect to be called back to Arsenal. They had a bit of an injury crisis. They called him back, and he hasn't really been out the side since until this injury. So, fair play to him. It's nice to see. It's nice to see a success story of that.
And obviously, Coquelin coming back early. They've just bought in this fella from Basel. Is he going to struggle to get in the side now? We haven't seen him yet, have we?
No, we haven't.
They didn't pay mega bucks for him, did they? And he played 5-6 million.
6 million was it?
From Basel. He's played in the Champions League for 5 years in a row and stuff.
He's obviously. I saw he scored an absolute net buster for
Worldie.
Yeah, for Basel in the Europa League. I think that was this year, but that was. I haven't seen much of him, so I can't comment on how good he is or anything like that because he were mighty for a start, but also I just haven't seen anything of him.
He's probably a bit cheesed off, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I think I'm not necessarily cheesed off. I just think perhaps.
Well, I'm sure
he's going to have to wait his turn, isn't he? I think.
I'm sure at some point in the contract negotiations, someone would have said, "Look, this position is free at the moment. We really need you to come in," and then for him to sort of squirm his way back in.
I think he probably the cup competitions is probably where he's going to get a run, isn't it? So the FA Cup, because I think that's.
Yeah.
That's
well, Arsenal have looked good this season at points, haven't they? And I think with him and with Ozil,
I think they're favourites to win the league, aren't they? So they are for good reason. I think they look of all of the stumbling top four sides, and they look the most solid. They look like the side that will carry the can from now until the end of the season. I think if I was a betting man, which I'm not particularly, I'd probably put my money on Arsenal. So.
Did you?
Yeah.
Right. I'll put a bet on this afternoon, actually. I might go and get my slip. Hang on.
Did you?
Yeah. Keep it ticking on, Tom.
Yeah, so who was it?
Really rubbish teams, man.
Really rubbish teams.
Yeah. Still into lad books.
You're going to offend some people now, aren't you?
Yep.
When you tell us who these really rubbish teams are.
Hang on, let me just look past my millions that I've got in here as well.
I'll say carry some wads of cash in there, ain't you?
Yeah, man. It's all this money that we're making from this podcast, mate.
Yeah, that's it. Cockney Wide Boy.
Adidas were on the phone, want to sponsor us now.
Did they?
Yeah.
That'd be lovely.
Free shout out for you lads over there. I've got Chelsea to win against Arsenal away.
Ooshed.
Milton Keynes to beat Bolton away.
Yeah.
Blackburn to beat Charlton away.
Yeah.
Brentford to beat Preston away. That was quite a difficult one, actually. I was going to put a draw for that, and I wasn't sure. QPR to beat Wolves at home.
Right.
And then Walsall and Blackpool a draw.
Have you?
So that was one of those that's sort of boosting it up a little bit. And 50p, what do you reckon? 50p on How much do you reckon back?
I don't know. Tell me.
No, go on.
Outrageous amount.
Shoot.
I'm going to say 75.
Oh, that's cold. Nearly as cold as this room. 178.68.
178.68.
Yep.
Nearly as cold as this room. It's freezing. Point that out.
Well, maybe that could be a thing. End of every podcast. Betting corner.
Yeah, well, we could do that. I'll leave that up to you because my knowledge of the betting system is not fantastic.
No, nor mine. Sort of punt away, isn't it, and see how it goes. I think that's pretty much us done, mate.
It is.
That's half an hour there.
Yeah, let's get it done.
Flew again.
Wrap it up. It's flown by.
Wrap it up like us.
Don't forget to follow us at Thursday Footy. Let's get on there on Twitter.
Yeah, follow us and send in suggestions and ideas, and we're always happy to talk about whatever. If you guys want something, if there's a really interesting footballing story or something, something's happened down at the local club, let us know. We love that sort of stuff.
We do. If there's a subject to be broached, let's get on it.
Manchester United's great, but everyone loves a fairy tale, don't they?
Yeah, we do.
Hidden gem. Right, we'll leave it there. Thanks for listening again.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Follow
Cheers,
us on
guys.
Twitter, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.